Thank you. Mr. Lamborn, I apologize for stepping in front of you, but
Mr. Chairman, you can do that anytime you want.
I had this burning within my bosom. Sorry. You're recognized.
Mr. Secretary, it's great to have you here. What a difference a year makes. I'm excited about what you are doing, and I appreciate your efforts. 15 months ago, you were on this side of the dais asking the tough questions. Now we get to, but you were always an engaged and effective member representing Montana very well, and I appreciate our loss as a committee is America's gain. And I appreciate the fact that with increased energy revenue, we now have turned $1 billion back to states and tribes. We are fostering energy dominance. We are reorganizing. I like your ideas on reorganizing the federal bureaucracy. That there's some exciting ideas there. So you're doing some great things. Let me ask you about that reorganization. With the Bureau of Reclamation in particular, there's always been an identity between Colorado and the Bureau of Reclamation. They've worked hand in glove so many times. As these talks continue on reorganizing, will you continue to look at Colorado as a end place for some of the current Washington-based bureaucracy to go and be closer to where the projects are that are being done by the Bureau of Reclamation?
Good question, and let me tell you where we are so everyone knows in the reorganization. We asked the USGS to strip the political boundaries, what it will look like to organize and manage on the basis of science, watersheds, wildlife corridors, ecosystems. They came back with 13 different regions, and then I brought every SES in, not everyone, but a selected group across the country. And these are senior executive service careers, and I asked them to take a look at closely the maps and adjust them. I took every recommendation because we have certain assets that extend past states, and the map you have before us, before you is that map. Then I coordinated with the governors. The governors felt pretty strongly out west that they wanted to maintain the BLM state directors. This organization doesn't affect it. And the governors felt pretty strongly that recreation, NEPA, and permitting were the areas that we would focus on. Interior today is 16% of Interior is retirement age. In 5 years, 40% of Interior is retirement age. So we're a fairly senior group. And there are bureaus, Bureau of Reclamation, Bureau of Land Management, that their primary activity is out west. The other challenge we have is in some cities, San Francisco, Seattle, Washington, D.C., Denver, it is enormously expensive for a GS5, a GS7 to have a quality of life. So we are looking at moving, let's say, a recreation group or a NEPA group that's joint to smaller cities where they can enjoy a better quality of life, because we're going to have natural turnover. So when a GS15 retires, maybe in Washington, D.C., we can reprogram it out in the field, probably where it belongs, at a GS5. And yes, we're looking at smaller cities in each of these areas, not just the West, but in each of these areas, to make sure that our people, our young millennials that are coming in, can have a quality of life.
And I know Scott Tipton would say Grand Junction is affordable. I'll tell you, Colorado Springs is affordable compared to Denver. Let me also ask you about another subject before the time runs out: illegal marijuana grows. These are happening all over the country. I think there's bipartisan interest in getting these under control. They wreak environmental havoc wherever they take place. Plus, cartel activity is frequently involved. So I'm real concerned about it. How widespread is this problem on federal public lands, and what are you doing and can you do to combat this horrible problem?
Well, it is a problem where the growing of marijuana outdoors is conducive. Not really a problem in Montana. Big problem in Colorado, big problem in Northern California, and it's an environmental problem as much as anything, because the chemicals used are creating havoc in our watersheds. So we are looking at forming task forces. We have BLM, we have U.S. Park Police, we have BIA, we have a number of different law enforcement entities within Department of Interior, and we are looking at forming task forces to do our part to eradicate the illegal growing on federal land, which has caused an environmental issue, among other things.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McKee.